All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Sold As Is. I'm here with my partner in crime, Matt Hernandez, and today we are talking about
Market prediction,
market
right?
prediction for 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Matt went down the rabbit hole again, you guys, with another market prediction, diving into some data, and we're kind of here to share with you what we think we're going to happen in the first quarter of 2025. Yeah.
Yep. I know it's on everyone's mind as far as what's going on,
Yeah.
where are prices going, where do we see the market. We're right in your wheelhouse with numbers and analytics and things like that. So
Love it.
I know that you're itching at the opportunity to dive deep into some of this stuff and kind of share some knowledge, share some wisdoms. I know you've mentioned you've seen 9/11, you've seen the stock market crash, you've seen it all.
Yeah.
So this is just another opportunity for you to kind of enlighten us on what you kind of see.
You know, it's funny, as an agent, I normally just put my head down and I just work.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it does whatever goes around me. There's always going to be a house that needs to be sold. You know, my brothers used to tell me they're in the automotive business, and they would say, you know, there's always going to be a car that needs to be fixed. And I laugh and I say, hey, there's always going to be a house that needs to be sold.
That's funny.
And I just put my head down and sell houses.
That's
you know.
funny.
But hey, let's jump into 2025 predictions here. I think it was interesting. Let's jump in with active listings.
Right. Inventory.
You know, in October 2023, we had about 1,771 properties on the market versus October 2024, we're looking at 2,401.
Okay.
So inventory's up. Up, and that's growing.
That's good.
You know, and when we look at the average prices, amount of homes that went off every month, October 2023, we had about a 2-month supply of inventory. And October 2024, we're almost at about 4 months.
So, okay. Oh, that's interesting. So we pretty much doubled inventory since last year.
Yeah. And, you know, what was interesting for me as an agent was, you know, when interest rates popped up last year, we would look at, oh, for sure, property values are going to drop down in alignment with that payment. Meaning, if a buyer qualified for an $800,000 loan, and the rate went up, and now that payment now equals a $700,000 loan, we thought property values would adjust to $700,000, but they didn't. And we were all kind of scratching our heads, like, well, why not? You know, and buyers kind of absorbed the hit. And I think that right now, what's going to control our market, as we're seeing, is not really interest rate; it's supply versus demand.
Gotcha.
Right? The more apples there are in a season, the cheaper those apples get, and the less apples there are in a season, the more apples.
Right.
The more they're going to.
And if you haven't watched it, we were touching base a little bit on that on our last video. We'll leave the link up here. To check out. But we were talking about that we're seeing a slight little dip. So this is kind of aligning.
Yeah. The data matches. What we were feeling in the trenches. This data kind of matches that because we've doubled the amount of inventory, which gives the buyer more opportunity to choose from. And you know, like what we've been seeing is serious sellers have been improving their price, offering incentives to pay closing costs or interest rate buy downs to get their.
I love that word, improving their price. It's a price reduction, guys.
It's improving the price.
But guys, if you want to take a look at some of this data, I pulled it from our local MLS board. So reach out to us if you guys want to take a look, verify for yourself. If you don't believe us for whatever reason, but we'll be able to pull it and shoot it out to you guys if you're interested.
Yeah, for sure. And it was interesting because our notes show here that there was a 35% increase in active listings from March 2023 to October 2024. So you could see at the beginning of the year, there was a lot of optimism at the beginning of 2024 with, there's going to be 4 Fed rate cuts. And I think that was why property values didn't drop as much here in LA, because there was this optimism that, hey, honey, let's pay this price now, and we'll refinance by October, November to 4.9, and
that didn't happen.
It didn't happen, right? So, and that's why I think these houses keep coming on and lasting longer, and buyers are really looking for a good deal if they're gonna pick this property up, right?
Right.
So, supplies doubled.
Okay.
What interesting for me, being that I've been in the business so long, I remember when there was about 1,000 homes a month going off the market, and now to really see about 600 homes average, that means that the less buyers are really buying homes.
Right.
So I think there's still a major percentage of buyers that did get priced out of the market.
Right.
And if rates were to come down or property values to come down, I think we would see these 400 buyers love to be homeowners in the future. So
Nice.
not sure what's going to happen there, but that's kind of a thing that I saw in looking at this data.
Nice. Okay, so inventory, days on market.
Yep.
Next is going to be pricing trends.
Days on market we didn't really touch on, but let's just kind of jump on that real quick. I mean, if we look at October 2023, interesting fact is homes stood on the market 97 days in October 2023.
Right.
And 69 days on 2020 and 2024. Mm-hmm. So the amount of days on market is down, which you think that, we see a lot of these homes sitting on the market longer, but when you look at the data, it's not necessarily reflecting what we're feeling in the trenches. Right. So I just kind of feel that maybe November's data might be more accurate to what we're feeling, right. Because the data doesn't necessarily say that. But, when you look at, that was days on market, was 97 days down to 69 days. But the properties that went pending, actually October 2023 was 25, and then properties that went off pending in 2024 were 34 days. So homes took longer to sell. They might have been on the market less, but the ones that actually sold took a month. Was sold within a month.
Got you.
So I think that those homes were priced well.
Got you.
Or had immediate price reductions quickly to react.
So with days on market, you saw an uptick of properties that weren't priced correctly. The buyers out there spoke. We're not going for those ones.
Right.
But the ones that were priced correctly, those ones sold within the month.
They sold really fast.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And the interesting note here, it says that the days on market of pending properties suggests that buyers' caution remains due to some external factors, such as interest rates, and I also believe the elections.
Gotcha.
I think that there was a lot of people sitting on the fence because they didn't know what president we were going to have, if it was going to be good or bad either way. And I think that kind of caused that lull that we saw here and saw a lot of the downward arrows. I mean, in some of the data that I did right now, about 42% of the properties in the MLS had downward arrows, and that seemed to be across the board in most cities in the San Fernando Valley.
I think Burbank was the only one that seemed, Burbank's its own.
Yeah, it seemed like Burbank was an outlier. So, I mean, if you live in Burbank, you're not feeling any of this.
Yeah.
Pricing trends, what have we seen?
I mean, you can see October of 2023. Looks like the average median sales price was about $915,000. To this year went up to $948,000.
Yeah.
So we're still seeing an increase in values.
Yeah.
Which is interesting when you see some of the days on market increase. You're seeing buyers not wanting to move on properties and things like that, but we're still seeing an uptick in the market.
Yeah, but what you got to look at is the list price.
Okay.
Because when you look at the list price in October 23, it was 1.1, and October was 1.1. But when you look at it, they're listing at $1.1 million, but they're not selling at $1.1 million. They're still selling at $940 and $930. Mm-hmm. So it looks like there's an uptick, which there is, but there's still a list to sale price is down.
Interesting.
If you're considering selling your house, definitely look at the pendings as a gauge to where you should be pricing your home and not necessarily actives. Because, as an agent in an upwardly trending market, we would normally focus in on active properties. But I think now an experienced agent is now looking at the pendings to see, hey, what's going off the market? What's the price point that buyers are buying on, and not necessarily what's active. Because, in that upwardly trending market, Matt, I would say, hey, your house is worth $948, but there's nothing on the market at $948. Everything's active at $1.1. So let's come in at $1.1 and be with everybody else. Not doing a seller a service by doing that. It's really kind of looking and saying, hey, let's come on the market at $949 and get your home sold quickly. And if I did my job right, maybe I got 4 or 5 buyers to the table, all in that price range, and they bid the house up a few ticks.
Interesting. Yeah.
That would be my kind of thought. When we look at them, the growth there, it's still, kind of slowed down between October 2023 and October 2024. And list price have kind of plateaued. We didn't see 1.1 in October 2023, and October 2024 still 1.1.
Right.
So didn't really see a big uptick in list price, but the sale prices are the pending prices definitely interesting. Yeah.
So let's not focus on what the sellers are asking. Let's focus on where they're actually selling it. Right.
Yeah, and that's a different view that we have previously looked at since just before pre-pandemic and post-pandemic.
Very
interesting data. Yeah.
And then next one is going to be sales volume and closed transactions. This is going to be important, right?
Yeah.
When you look at closed transactions, October 2023, 500, so just under 600 homes sold.
Yep.
And you look at this year, October 2024, we're looking at 683 homes.
Yeah. So about 30 more homes? Yeah. And again, for me, it's still a shock that that's such a small amount. You know? I mean, so, as an agent, if you've sold a house, you're one of those 683 agents or homes that have sold. I think there's a lot more real estate agents than there are homes being sold.
Right.
But that's interesting. Home values have ticked up a little bit, and when you look at the amount of volume, there was about $7.5 billion worth of real estate done in 2023 October, and about $8.3 billion worth of inventory in October 2024. So the amount of homes being sold is still more.
Yeah.
Which is optimistic for 2025. Yeah.
Right.
Buyer behavior.
So October 2023, it looks like 62%.
Yep.
Were selling at at list price.
Yeah.
And then when you compare it to this year, it looks like 57% are actually purchasing a home at asking price.
Yeah. So that's a downward tick of about 5%. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's safe to say that buyers are getting a better deal October 2024 than they were 2023.
Right. So you have, I'm looking at October.
Yeah.
There's 57% of people that said, hey, that price is fair, but there's also the other half. There's the 53% that are saying, no, that's not a good deal, and they're getting good. So almost half of the market is getting a under asking price, like we were saying on our last video. This is all kind of correlating or kind of making sense as we're starting to connect some of these dots, as far as there's some optimism as far as being able to get a better price for a house.
Yeah, and you know what, Matt, and also I think it's, as listing agents like myself, when we take a listing and we price it, we price it. Like the one listing that I had, I mean, I was the lowest priced townhome in Sherman Oaks at that price point.
Yeah.
But the market was changing right before my eyes. Mm-hmm. And we ended up selling that $70,000 below that price because the market was kind of speaking to us. And luckily I had a seller that understood that and was, hey, we got to improve the price to get it out of the books. But I don't know that it was necessarily agents mispricing the property. I think it was also the market reacting and agents reacting to that, and then repricing the home to a number that a buyer was saying, I'll buy that home.
Well, good agents that are proactively prospecting and price watching.
Yes.
There's a lot of other,
the fourth and the fifth P, as we like to say.
Right, but there's a lot of other agents that maybe you're listing heavy, maybe you don't have the time to dedicate towards servicing all your listings, but I know that you, each day or each week, you are really conscious of analyzing, hey, what are my competition? Which ones are going pending? Why is mine not going pending?
Yeah. And
giving your seller, weekly updates as far as like, hey, this is the analytics.
Yeah.
And I think when you service your client, you're up to date with what's going on. You have your finger on the pulse of the market. I think it really showed like, hey, look, we need to get ahead of this. And luckily you had sellers or clients that were adaptable.
Yeah. So. And for the buyer, we took that same data, and a house that was at $920, we sold for $860, and then negotiated some money back for closing costs as well. So we took the same data that worked for us that worked against us as a listing, and put that for the buyer that we had, and just kind of showed the seller hey, this is what the market's talking, and that seller kind of caught on too,
Yeah.
because I sent the same data report to that listing agent, and when she saw it, she was like, "Yeah, Tom, you're right. Let me talk to my seller." And the seller called us back, said, "You're right. Well,
Wow.
we'll sign that offer."
Yeah. That's
So
interesting.
and it's interesting because August of this year with the whole decoupling of commissions, we really didn't know where we were going.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't seen anything about that. No.
No, I mean, it's so funny. When I talk to people, we sometimes we do Zooms with the whole group, and there's people. I'm having trouble getting it signed, and I don't know how to get it. And people, I'm like, I'm not having that trouble.
Yeah.
I say it, people sign it. Like I almost feel that the way that you talk about it, and the way that you bring it up, if you make it a big deal,
Yeah.
it becomes a big deal.
Yeah.
And the more that you do it, and the way that you can articulate it and present it to a potential client, it hasn't been that big of a deal. Like,
Yeah.
it was all the sky's falling.
Yeah. Well, and I think there are some agents out there that are trying to lock buyers into a 90-day contract, and we don't do that.
Not upfront.
Not upfront. I mean, we want to make sure that you want to work with us, and we want to work with you. And at some point, I like to say we're going to put a ring on that finger
Yeah.
for 90 days.
But I mean,
but
imagine,
until then, we're just dating.
yeah, I mean, imagine you walking on a car lot,
Yeah.
and they want to lock you into a contract. It's like, I just want to see the car.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the approach that our team has adopted and given and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But what's your prediction? Like, let's give the people what they want. They made it this long. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So prediction for 2025. I mean, based upon this data, I think really we're going to probably see more of a stabilized real estate market for the first time in a very long time. I mean, I think your notes say here, what did you call it? Intense seller controlled market that we've been in.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think based upon this data that we're seeing that we're going to be moving towards a more of a balanced market right now for 2025, which is actually good for the buyers.
Right.
At some point now, they won't have to worry about no contingencies, no loan approval, no loan contingency, no appraisal contingency, no inspection contingency. I think with a balanced market, the buyer's going to get some options back in their corner
Mm-hmm.
and some bargaining chips back in their corner.
Gotcha.
So I think when we look at that, but one of the notes that we talked about was, what is some of the what could swing that? What could change us away from that?
I think right now interest rates are at a very delicate point.
Yeah.
No matter, depending on which way they sway, will kind of dictate where we go. I think, at least into Q1.
Right. And depending upon that, we might have to revamp our 2025 forecast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah, and I also think that when we look at this market too, if inventory continues to grow, and the amount of buyers still stays the same at that 600-800 number, we will be leaning more towards a buyer's market. And then the Feds cut the rate a 0.5%.
Yeah.
And obviously the interest rates for mortgages didn't see it because the economy markets reacted so positively that the bond market didn't have an opportunity to adjust. So we see rates still in that mid 6% range. But I think that the Feds to such a big 0.5 point cut right off the bat kind of, for me, feels like there's something about the economy that they're not really saying.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because of the elections, that they kept the lid on some things, that this data might come out.
Yeah.
And it might be indicating more recession-based stuff, which I think could also cause us to have to revamp our 2025 forecast.
Right.
So for right now, November 2024, I see us moving away from this intense seller-controlled market to looking forward to a more stabilized, price balanced market right now, right?
I still think that we're going to see some price appreciation. I think that it's probably not going to be as
6%.
It's not going to be 6%, but I think over the next year you'll probably still see some price appreciation.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think that we're definitely going to have a balanced market. I think buyers are going to have a little bit more bargaining chips. Sellers are going to be negotiable.
Yeah.
If you've ever been on the fence, I think right now we did call night last night, and I'm trying to tell everybody I can about, hey, what's going on, what we're seeing.
Yeah.
I had another guy say that waiting for interest rates to drop, and I remember not so after that, but it only, what is it, only like 18 or 36 bucks for every quarter point that,
Yeah.
like you're sitting on the sideline for peanuts.
Small. Yeah.
And I didn't bring it up on the call, but I wanted to make sure I brought it up today.
Yeah.
As far as, if you're really wondering if interest rates are truly something that's holding you back, give us a call and let's go over what that really means for you.
Right.
If it's only $110 that's really holding you back from buying, I don't think it should be a reason for you to be on the sideline.
Yeah. I mean, there's what's the question two questions we ask?
Well, number one is, can you afford the payment?
Yep.
And number two is, if you were to lose your job, can you continue making the payment until you secure a new job?
Yep. And if the answer is yes,
it's a good time to buy.
You should be looking at owning real estate.
Yep.
Any final thoughts, Matt, that you can think of?
No, I thought this was great. I think balanced I guess market is probably what we need right now.
Yeah.
I don't think I think if it swings down, that's not going to be good. I think if it swings too up, so I think right now being balanced is pretty much like, I think, the best case scenario for us right now until we get into the next year and see what really happens.
Absolutely. Yeah, and listen, guys, if you guys want a copy of our report, we're more than happy to email it out. Just make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, hit the like button down below so you can be notified on future videos that we put out, and direct message us so that we can send this out to you. And I'd love to book a meeting with you guys on Zoom or in person to kind of discuss your opportunities for real estate or possibly real estate selling. One final thought I did want to say with you guys real quick is, one of the things I was taught, Matt, was to never sell on the upward trend, because you can't dictate how much money you left on the table, but to sell on the downward spike, because now you can gauge how much money you left on the table. Meaning, if the house went to $1 million and now it's $975, well, you can sell the house and know that I left 25. But if you sold the house at 900, you had no control and know how much you left. So if we are moving towards a buyer's market, and this is the beginning of the end of a seller intense controlled market, now is actually a good time as a seller to kind of say, hey, we've reached the peak, and maybe we should look at some options about getting out of that property, maybe into something new, or moving on to the next chapter of your life.
Love it.
Yep. Okay, guys, we'll take a look at our next video coming out soon, and we'll see you on the next episode of Sold As Is.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.